What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out that brand new Chibi EXODIA that has finally been revealed. We knew that this card was going to be a V-Jump promo, but we had no idea what this card was actually going to do. I talked about it a few weeks ago, but at that time, we only knew of the card's existence, and I guess, well, to me, it was kind of obvious that this card is hand-drawn by Takahashi. You guys know because of like the 20th anniversary of Yugioh, he's been doing a whole lot of artworks, and I thought that he was just kind of messing around. He made up a little funny card and whatnot, but realistically, this might be the biggest troll card in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! I know some of you guys are like, come on, Cap, really? No, this absolutely takes the cake. And you guys know we have a lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That basically become memes, whether it be because of like interactions with the cards, people thinking that MST negated way back in the day, or it can even be entire archetypes and decks. A lot of times when people say what's the worst deck ever, everybody says like Ice Barriers and whatnot, but no, this card is actually a meme. I think that Takahashi was just straight up memeing, and I do not think that this card was ever supposed to be taken seriously. This is true EXODIA. This is a level 1 Dark Spellcaster monster, 0 attack and 0 defense. You might expect pretty much all of those things other than maybe the stat line because it is Exodia, Dark Attribute, Spellcaster, all that stuff. The effect of this thing is mind-blowing. It is just off the charts troll. So it says if the only monsters on the field are this card and 4 Forbidden 1 normal monsters with different names, i.e. the limbs of Exodia, the opponent of this card's controller wins the duel. Now, at first I read that too fast, right? The first time I read this card, I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Basically, instead of having the 5 pieces of Exodia in your hand, you're essentially having 4 limbs of Exodia on the field, and then this would kind of act as your pseudo head. I'm like, all right, it's, a little more difficult than having them in your hand because you got to normal summon them. But I was like, hey, maybe you make a little troll pendulum deck. It's Exodia, where's the harm, the foul? I was like, it's not that big of a deal. And then I read the card again, and I was like, wait a minute. The opponent of the controller of this card wins the duel. I was like, what the flip? Because you have to think about it, right? You're obviously going to be the controller of this card in most situations, right? So let's just say somehow you normal summon this card, or you do that massive pendulum summon that I was talking about. Maybe you got scale 0, or somehow you're gonna pendulum summon this. Your opponent is your opponent. This means that since you control it, the opponent of the controller, you, is your opponent. That means that if you happen to get the 5 monsters on field, your opponent actually wins the duel. Like, what? I don't think that there has ever been a card that just straight up has a condition that when it's met, you just lose the duel. And I'm not even talking about like a situation where there's a tie or something like that, like what's that card, self-destruct button. I'm talking about when you resolve this card, you just 100% always lose the duel. Now, people have obviously thought of some things like, hey Cap, just use Creature Swamp and use something like Sheen's Spy. And I mean, I guess you can go that route, but it's just so bizarre. Why on earth would they even make this card have the condition that you lose the duel? I really don't understand it. I mean, maybe Takahashi has some other card planned that is going to work with this card, but I think that, yeah, maybe once every blue moon, once every like 15 games, you could pull this card off, but why pull it off if you just lose the duel? It doesn't really make any sense. But again, guys, I do not think at all that this is a card to be taken seriously. I don't even really want to give this card, like I can't even give it an appropriate like review score because I do think it's a troll card. I think it's a joke, and I think Takahashi was just messing around and he was like, I'm just gonna troll these guys playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So whatever you guys think of True Exodia, leave it in the comment section below. Again, I only think that you can basically win with this card is if you use Creature Swap or if you use some type of card to give this control over to your opponent. But that's a whole lot of hoops to jump through considering you still have to have all the other normal monsters on the field, and it's just like, man, I don't really see that happening. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.